Some disappearances happen in silence. Others leave behind only questions. But few are as haunting as the true story of Amy Lynn Bradley, a young woman who vanished from a cruise ship and was never seen again. This is the true story of Amy Lynn Bradley. Amy was born in 1974 and raised in Petersburg, Virginia. A bright, athletic, confident young woman. She was the kind of person who stood out, not because she tried to, but because she radiated energy. She loved animals, played college basketball at Longwood University, and had just graduated with a degree in physical education. She was independent, determined, and protective of her younger brother, Brad. Her family described her as outgoing, trustworthy, and deeply loyal. In March 1998, Amy's parents, Ron and Iva Bradley, invited her and Brad on a Caribbean cruise, a family vacation aboard the Royal Caribbean ship Rhapsody of the Seas. It was meant to be a celebration before Amy started her new job, and a chance for the family to enjoy a rare moment of relaxation together. The cruise was a week-long journey with stops planned in Aruba, Curaçao, and other tropical destinations. The cruise set sail from San Juan, Puerto Rico. The Bradleys spent the first few days enjoying the sun, swimming, dining, and exploring the massive ship. Amy and her brother Brad grew even closer during those days, often taking walks along the upper decks and talking about their futures. But beneath the surface, Amy felt unsettled. She told her parents she was uncomfortable with some of the crew members, that a few were overly friendly, staring or approaching her too often. One crew member in particular, a member of the ship's band Blue Orchid, seemed especially focused on Amy. She mentioned to Brad that the man had asked her to come out with him once the ship docked. Amy declined, but the conversation left her uneasy. On the night of March 23rd, the ship hosted a party at the nightclub. Amy and Brad joined in. They danced, had a few drinks, and met several members of Blue Orchid. Photos from that night showed Amy smiling, relaxed, and having fun. She was wearing green pants and a blue top, casual and comfortable. Everything about her demeanor suggested a young woman enjoying her vacation. Around 1 a.m., Amy and Brad returned to their cabin. They talked for a while before going to bed. Amy stayed up a little longer, sitting out on the balcony. She liked watching the water. It calmed her. At approximately 5:30 a.m., Ron Bradley briefly woke up. He saw Amy sitting on the balcony, quietly smoking a cigarette. The ocean was calm, the sky still dark. A faint breeze moved her hair. He went back to sleep. When he woke again at 6 a.m., Amy was gone. At first, no one panicked. Maybe she went to the deck for coffee. Maybe she took a walk or went to see the sunrise. But her sandals were still in the cabin. So were her cigarettes, her ID, and her cruise card. Her bed was empty, untouched. She had simply disappeared. The Bradleys reported Amy missing immediately, but the ship's response was slow, disorganized, and deeply frustrating. The captain refused to make a public announcement, citing protocol and not wanting to disturb the passengers. Hours passed before the crew began searching, and when they did, they only checked public areas. They didn't search passenger cabins. They didn't lock the exits. There was no lockdown. By the time a proper search was organized, it was far too late. Passengers were allowed to disembark when the ship docked in Curaçao. In those lost hours, anything could have happened. The FBI joined the case days later. Investigators tried to piece together a timeline, but the ship's security cameras didn't cover most hallways. There was no footage of Amy leaving the room, no sign of her on the main decks, no trace. Even dogs brought on board to search couldn't pick up a consistent scent trail. Some believed Amy had fallen overboard, but her family insisted otherwise. She was a strong swimmer, a certified lifeguard. The ocean was calm, and most telling, no one had heard a splash. No alarms were triggered, no floating debris, no body was found. Her father, Ron, later said that if Amy had fallen into the water, she would have fought to survive. She would have made noise. She would have tried to climb or grab onto something. Then witnesses came forward. Several passengers claimed to have seen Amy that morning after her disappearance. One said they saw her with a crew member near an elevator. Another saw a woman matching her description walking quickly across the pool deck. A third said she looked nervous, as if she was being followed. As days turned to weeks, the story faded from the headlines. But Amy's family never gave up. In August 1998, a Canadian tourist visiting Curaçao claimed she saw Amy on a beach, flanked by two men who appeared controlling. The woman tried to approach her but was pulled away. She later said the woman's eyes looked desperate, like she was silently asking for help. In 1999, a U.S. Navy officer claimed that while visiting a brothel in Curaçao, a woman approached him and whispered, "My name is Amy Bradley, please help me." He didn't report it at the time, fearing disciplinary action. When he did come forward, the brothel had mysteriously burned down. No records remained. Then came the most disturbing lead. In 2005, Amy's parents received an anonymous email with two photographs attached. The images showed a woman who looked strikingly like Amy, now older, thinner, wearing heavy makeup, and posed in a way that suggested she was being exploited. The photos were traced to a sex work website. The FBI analyzed the images, but could never confirm definitively if it was her. Still, many believed it was. The theory that Amy was kidnapped and trafficked became more plausible. Cruise ships, especially in the 1990s, had lax security, no thorough passenger tracking, no surveillance in hallways, and ports like Curaçao were known trafficking hubs. Reports emerged later that criminal organizations specifically targeted young tourists on cruise ships. Amy had expressed discomfort with crew members. She had been alone when she disappeared. The possibility that someone lured her off the ship or took her by force seemed increasingly likely. Private investigators were hired. One claimed to have infiltrated a cartel-connected brothel and seen Amy, but before he could extract her, she was moved. Another tip suggested she had been sold multiple times across borders. The trail went cold again. Years passed. Leads dried up. Yet Amy's parents, Ron and Iva, remained tireless. They appeared on America's Most Wanted Doctor, Phil, and the Montel Williams Show. They raised a reward of $250,000. They begged for anyone with information to come forward. They visited Curaçao repeatedly. They handed out flyers. They knocked on doors. And every time they returned home, it was without their daughter. But nothing conclusive has ever been found. To this day, Amy Lynn Bradley remains missing. The cruise line never took responsibility for the failed response. Royal Caribbean faced criticism, but no legal consequences. Safety procedures on cruise ships were eventually reviewed, but it came too late for Amy. Many believe that if the crew had acted quickly, sealed the ship, and searched thoroughly, Amy might have been found that very morning. What happened that morning in March 1998? Was Amy targeted before the cruise even began? Was she being watched? Did someone on board gain her trust, only to betray it? Or is Amy still alive, held somewhere far from home, her name lost to time? Some believe she was trafficked and later killed. Others hold on to the hope that she survived, that maybe, someday, she'll find a way back. Her family still keeps her room as she left it. Her toothbrush is still in its cup. Her bedspread still folded back. A small photo of the family sits on her dresser, waiting for the day she might return. They still hope, still wait. What do you believe happened to Amy Lynn Bradley? Was it a tragic accident or something far more sinister? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more real-life mysteries like this one, subscribe for more, because sometimes the most chilling stories are the ones that really happened.